Pension funds and alternative investment now in the 7th edition. It's a conference which is very, very focused and very niche. For us, it's also important that these pension funds come together and sort of exchange knowledge and know-how and know what's happening, what are the global trends, as well as what are the issues.
I work with the Africa Finance Corporation, and we have sponsored this event for 6-7 years running. It's quite important to get a lot of the institutional investors in Africa to focus more on mobilizing their capital.
For me, the significance of this event is really that we can get together as institutional investors and we can see what we can do to re-energize our economies in our continent.
If we can mobilize resources with a greater pool of resources together with FDIs, government partnerships with pension funds, those can be channeled towards development in terms of economic growth in our continent.
Inflation is really eating away at the pension assets, and it's key that the pension managers start to look for alternative investments that are inversely related to the direction that inflation is going, and infrastructure is one of that.
And financing infrastructure requires a lot of long-term capital and patient capital, right? Which is one of the things that pension funds are supposed to serve.
But infrastructure is such a crucial link to developing the economies, but also making sure that you get, as a pension fund, for instance, growth in your specific pension funds.
Talk about stuff like real estate investment trusts, for instance, exchange-traded funds.
A lot of the investors here who are receiving mandates from the pension fund, they then deploy this capital into viable projects. This could be energy projects, they could be transport projects, projects that support the growth of these economies.
And from a pension fund perspective or institutional investor perspective, I mean, it's such a beautiful inflation hedge and something that you can use for the long-term capital growth, that it is a brilliant investment opportunity.
Mauritius has been very, I would say, strategic in the way it's positioned itself within the African continent, effectively acting as a bridge for capital, for inward investments into Africa.
There is a large community of asset managers and investment advisors in Mauritius.
From a tax incentive perspective, from a location perspective, it's European as well as African from a cultural perspective.
It became a point where people actually set up businesses to now operate across the continent.
It is an area where it's attracting a lot more developed economies investments, and it is a very friendly regime to come and do business in.
But we're very passionate about Africa and what we do, and its economic growth, its cultural and political development. And a lot of our programs are in Africa, on Africa, for Africa.
Now you're actually seeing the real asset owners, you're seeing government representatives, the key individuals that make the decisions.
So what's nice about it is I think the footprint is growing. People are starting increasingly to recognize it as an event and as an institution that helps drive African development.
So I think bringing people together at this opportune time, I think helps for us to really have what we want to do going forward, and how can we have as countries an enabling environment for us to be able to see how we can grow the resources through the pension fund.
We will continue to do these programs in a sort of a very niche targeted ways in areas that is quite hard to reach or research for people who are genuinely interested in Africa. So, if you come to this event or any of the other events, our objective is to encourage or to allow you to build meaningful connections.